I have 72 custom skills on my machine right now. Not plugins, not apps I downloaded, skills that I've built using Claude Code directly on my machine in my terminal. Each one of these is on a specific workflow for one of my businesses. And when I run one of these skills, it doesn't give me generic AI output. It gives me outputs that are trained on people that have been delivering world-class work. And I'm also going to link them below so that you can unpack those for your own business and start using them. Real quick, just the difference between a skill that you have within Claude Cowork or ChatGPT and a skill that lives here in your terminal. Skills within Claude Cowork are limited to do things within the specific folder that you give it access to. If you are in your terminal, like we are here, it now literally can control your computer. We're going to use Claude Code within this IDE called Anti-Gravity, which is literally just a place where you can look at folders and code and whatever in a very organized way. And that will then help you to structure that. And I'll show you how in a second. So what we can do here is we can open up another terminal and we can just type in Claude. What you can see here on the left is I'm already in a folder that I called Founder OS. Now this is kind of my cockpit that I use for personal projects, for business projects, to run our marketing agency with 150 clients, our team meetings, our people, everything in it all lives in here. We'll have different kind of folders. You'll see here we have agents, we have Claude, and we can go open these up and we'll see here, for example, skills, right? Now I have over 70 skills just in this particular folder alone, which allow me to do various things. One skill that I use a lot across our marketing agency is a copywriting skill. You can use a skill called NotebookLM. I did an entire video on NotebookLM separately, so I'm going to link that up on the screen right here. Essentially, you go to NotebookLM, you can connect it with your terminal. So I can tell it here, can you connect to my NotebookLM? It can go grab all of the context from a notebook. So you could go create a NotebookLM. In there, you can put all of the information about your clients, good copy, good ads that were performing really well, and then it would know all about this. Then it has all the information that you think is perfect. Now, the second step, if you know a little bit about copy or about the subject that you're trying to create about, you probably get this information from somewhere. Maybe it's good newsletters that are written by people that you admire and you think they're doing a really good job. Maybe it's good advertisements, good landing pages, right? Reference examples that you say, hey, this is excellent copy. You go and you grab the information out there. There's a really easy way to do that. So for example, you can go look for audiobooks on YouTube. You can just throw those all into NotebookLM and then it will go find that. So you can see here, for example, I just prepared this NotebookLM with copywriting resources by Eugene Schwartz. I simply just copied his entire book about breakthrough advertising into this notebook here so it can be queried and it can be used by my agent. Once we've done this, we can do a bunch of crazy things, like we can go create a mind map or have an interactive podcast with this book so we can ask it a bunch of questions, which is really kind of cool. But it gets really cool when we can use this entire notebook and this entire knowledge and package it into a skill. The way we do so then is to take this notebook, all the knowledge that we have in there, and we say, okay, now you just go tell it that you would like to create a skill. Hey, I'd like to create a skill that is a very good copywriter. Here's information on my past advertising campaigns, my clients, my this, my that. And here is a book on Ogilvy and Eugene Schwartz and whatever. Here's more information all in this NotebookLM. I'd like you to extract all the important information from NotebookLM, pull this all together, and I would like to create a skill. If you have a good setup, you can also tell it to ask you a bunch of questions about how you want to go about creating the skill. And it will say, hey, what is important to you? What do you want to do? You know, what kind of clients do you deliver? Whatever, if you don't have all this information already available. Mostly for me, if I'm within my Founder OS, it already has a lot of information on who our clients are, what we do, all of our people. So I can just pull this from my vault. This is, again, a separate topic that I talked a lot about, how to use Obsidian or any other RAG that essentially allows you to encapsulate all of your information, to have a lot of information in one place, and it allows you to follow backlinks for that specifically. That is, again, a video, an entire separate topic that I'm going to link up somewhere here on the screen. When you have this all together, you'd want to go create a skill. So for example, in our case, we have a skill called copy, and it uses all of this information. And you can see here, it's already telling me, right? I can do landing page, ads, emails, sales page, and so on. Explain what this skill does. It will go pull all this information and it will give you 10 times better output. So for example, here you see it's referencing Schwartz, breakthrough advertising, and all of that information. If I say I want to create a landing page for XYZ client or for a new campaign for us, then it will automatically know that it needs to collect all of this information. So this is what it does initially, right? It collects all of the information. I'll tell it exactly what I need. And then it pulls all of the context you can see here from my vault, ICP, client profiles, existing copy, anything. It also will go visit websites, do a bunch of research, take screenshots, all of that. And then it classifies your audience using these 5 stages of awareness. So based on his sophistication level of copy needed, right? And then it builds a strategic briefing for this, right? It says, hey, here's the ideal client profile, here's all the information, here's everything else on this particular customer, and this is what they like to do. And then it routes it to a specific subscale, which you can then again use, which is, for example, a subscale for landing page copy, for ad copy, for email copy, whatever it may be, right? Which is then a specialized template that tells it all this information on how a landing page should look like and so on. And finally, it saves it in my AI outputs directly in my vault where everything is there, and I will be able to access that. This is when AI gets really, really powerful, and when you can get outputs that are 50 or 100 times better than what you could be getting if you're just using ChatGPT or just simple memory files or whatever. Now, this doesn't just apply to copy, right? This applies to anything from monitoring your inbox to doing SEO audits or auditing an advertising campaign or whatever it may be. We can come in here and we can say, hey, I want to do SEO for AI search engine. And I can come here and I can give it a URL and it will go start that process, right? And this skill, again, has specific tools, specific things that it can do, right? It can access, for example, it can access the data for SEO plugin with my API keys, and it can go find very relevant information. It can do a bunch of other things as well, and it will do them in the order that it is supposed to do them to get the desired output that we are looking for. So whatever it is you do, if you run a service-based business or if you have a product-based business and you're trying to create actual workflows with skills using AI that you don't need to be caught up in chatbots or, start from scratch every single time, and you have something repeatable that is always done, like a customer support process or a marketing process, you can come in here and you can just voice prompt with the AI and try to talk it through specifically what you're trying to do. Now, another thing that you can do is you can just go online, right? And you can search, for example, if we come here and we say, hey, I want to have marketing skills for Claude, then we will find GitHub repositories that have a couple thousand stars and do certain things. However, I would always take these with a grain of salt and be a little bit careful. So first of all, anything on GitHub doesn't mean that it's safe. There could be prompt injection, there could be other things in here that are not good for you specifically. And also, it's a lot of noise. There might be a lot of skills that are just AI prompted together. You can see there's a lot of here there's a lot of SEO, CRO and stuff, but it's not customized to your business. So it's always good to come check out other plugins and tools that are out there. And you can also go look at these, open them up and see what is actually written in this file and what tools they're allowed to use. So you can see all of this is very generic. There's not actual information there that will really get you amazing outputs. So the way you really get amazing outputs is by explaining your entire process, giving it all of your information that you have available. So your process as you do it today. Maybe you run an e-commerce company and you have, thousands and thousands of support cases that were answered, and you can somehow classify them and say, hey, this was a good support case, this was a bad support case, depending on how your customers rated that support case. And maybe you could even go cross-check and see, how many bad reviews were left by that particular person based off a shitty report case. And then you could go and take all these support cases and say, hey, here we have a couple thousand that are good, here we have a couple thousand that went great, and here we have a couple that are, went very badly. Then you could feed all this information to AI. You could put this all into a NotebookLM or into some kind of other place where it can learn from it and it can deliver output specifically for your organization that are trained to always deliver the outputs that are actually valuable and useful to you. I also think that skills are way superior in getting things done fast within your terminal and adapting to all of the changes that are frequently given to us week over week, almost on a daily basis, that there's new models new things that you can do, new things that you can use or plug into, and so on. Even though there's a lot of noise out there of people building full-fledged web apps and applications, that you can use, there's so much benefit to using this within your terminal. So you're very fast to adapt. You can change things. You can have all of your API keys just stored locally, and you can use all of these different tools, and you don't need to build this entire wrapper and put it onto a VPS server and use all your API keys there, because that really quickly it gets outdated. So you build something right now, for example, the copy skill that I showed you, this is constantly being updated with new client files, with new people that inspire me with copy or newsletters or whatever. We can always just build to it very easily, and we don't need to build a complex web app or something like that with outdated prompts and outdated models that a couple of weeks from now is not really going to be used, or doesn't give us the same level of output that we could expect. So if you want to use these skills, again, I would always recommend that you do your own and that you voice prompt it so that you can get the outputs that you're actually looking for. But if you want, I will also link the copy skill and the SEO skills that I present here that I used just down below so that you can implement those again. Also, you can take these skills and adapt them. You can go and say, okay, now great, now I have this, but I would like to have this copywriter and these examples, right? And you put them all in your own NotebookLM, you put them all in your own chunks needed within your skills, then it will be able to give you copy for your industry, for your service specifically, that is way better than it could be just by using the skill below. And if you like this kind of content, give this a thumbs up, it helps the algo. Leave a comment below what you'd like to see next, and see you in the next one.